Welcome to the Launch and Landing channel. Today I'm at the paragliding launch site of El Tanque in Tenerife.
El Tanque is a quiet, rural municipality in northwestern Tenerife, notable for being one of the few areas on the island without a coastline. Its identity is deeply tied to agriculture, traditional Canarian architecture, and its position as a balcony overlooking the Isla Baja region. It is located on the northwestern side of Tenerife and generally categorized as part of North Tenerife due to its climate, landscape, and administrative ties to the northern Isla Baja region. The takeoff is considered somewhat technical because it is relatively flat and surrounded by rough vegetation like cacti, making it tricky to gain height in the first few meters. As of early 2025, the local government has funded a renovation of this site to include a more accessible rubber runway. The launch site is at the restaurant Mirador Lomo Molino, which is located just outside the village, a great place overlooking the ocean. The wind was already very good from 11 a.m. on the 2 days of the area inspection, so that easy starts were possible already in the morning. Observing the northwestern strip of Tenerife gives a clear sense of the whole flying area. The launch site is quite distant from the official landing spot, so a high-altitude takeoff is necessary to reach it. An emergency landing zone lies between the launch and official sites, marked by a prominent industrial building with a tall chimney on the coast. The main landing site itself is a bit farther west, behind a hotel complex, where you'll also find a convenient bar for landing pilots. Back at the launch site, the takeoff is not directly towards the sea, but to the northeast in the opposite direction of the landing sites. After flying a few meters in this direction, the idea at this paragliding area is to turn to the left in order to arrive at a cliff edge as high as possible using the speed bar. This rock edge offers excellent soaring opportunities with optimal wind. On this windy diagram, we can see how the wind from the northeast washes around the island and how the green tip of the island in the upper left corner, northwest, is approached by a wind force of 20 to 25 kilometers per hour. These are the optimal conditions in El Tanque for soaring along the edges of the ridge. Here we can see a paraglider pilot who started very early, who took off before the onset of stronger winds. The pilot flies in a straight line over to the ridge and then rises up over the top of the rocks.
Now it was my turn to start. The wind was nicely head-on, so launching was easy. Thermals can sometimes pull over the rock to the left of the takeoff. This can create a dangerous turbulent air effect. Therefore, it's suggested not to turn left immediately, but only after a delay of some meters. Here we can already see the ridge in the distance. I push the speed bar to get over as quick as possible. Wow, here I am now. What a rewarding spot offering stunning views of the Isla Baja coastline.
Now onto the landing sites. On the front edge of the rock, there is a cross called Cruz La Caleta de Interion at about this height. If you take off from here, you should have no problems reaching the landing site at Charco Los Chochos in normal wind conditions, although it is about 2.5 kilometers away from the cross as the crow flies. Here, we can see the landing site behind the hotel complex in the distance. The alternative, but technically far more difficult emergency landing option at the Antiguo Ingenio Azucarero, meaning the old sugar mill, is about 1 kilometer closer.
Here you can see my initial overflight from the cross to the designated landing area. Since due to uncertainty regarding the altitude I would get there, I pushed the speed bar during the first minutes. The minimal loss of altitude observed over the range suggested ongoing thermal activity. Halfway, the emergency landing at the sugar mill was clearly visible at the lower right. Ahead were the hotel complex and the landing site. I eventually arrived at the landing area at an altitude of around 100 meters. Here we are now at the main landing site of El Tanque. It is directly at a beach, a wide open field, but of course also with cactuses further up the hill.
The landing site is visible here from the drone's perspective. It measures roughly 100 by 100 meters and has challenging vegetation, including cacti on the left. Landing a paraglider there is not advisable, as it could lead to a tangled mess that's difficult to untie. Apart from the sea on the northern side of the landing site, there are no significant obstacles. The landing site can be considered very easy, as there is always a good breeze blowing inland from the sea, which allows a landing against laminar wind. From the landing site, the prominent hills in the hinterland are visible, offering opportunities for extended flight durations and distances during favorable conditions. Turning to the left reveals the soaring rock edge and the approximate location where takeoff occurred at the cross. Below, the sugar mill is situated alongside the designated emergency landing area, as well as the hotel complex and the aviation bar.